Yeah, welcome everyone to the 10th edition of the GAPSULE this live discussion. And thank you for coming together for this program. With this program, in fact, today we are going to have a very interesting topic which we are discussing. And this topic has come from the feedback that we had from you yourselves, our viewers. So, of course, GAPSULE is the first of an industry dialogue series. It's aimed at bringing the knowledge gap between the medical practitioners and the pharma industry for better treatment outcomes. And with us, we have amazing individuals from the industry, years of experience with them as our panelists. And I'll just go on to introduce our panelists. With us, we have Mr. Saptarshi Mitra. He's the CEO of Lifecare Biosciences. It's one of the most upcoming and fast-moving organizations. And with him, he brings years of experience with almost 27 years of experience in propelling sales and business development strategies and a full bouquet of work that he has executed. What we can see is that uh, heading this organization, there's been a lot of scope of areas. They have been in innovative products, not only in the pharmaceutical, but also the technology space, and also in various other domains as building an ecosystem, I would say. And I think that's his key skill set. Uh, Thank you, Mr. Saptarshi Mitra, for being part of this discussion for our 10th capsule program. Also, we have Mr. Sanjay Nirwan. He's the general manager of and digital marketing head of innovations of Indoco Remedies. And thank you, Sanjay, for being a part of this. He has various and vast experience in the pharmaceutical industry, right up from product manager level. He has come up to digital health strategist, various programs in terms of marketing, design thinking, digital transformation. And if you talk about machine learning and data science, this has been what his experience he has brought onto. And when you put all together, technology is one part of it, but he has put a very human centric design approach into this. So that brings alive technology. And this is what the skill sets of Mr. Sanjay has been towards the pharma industry and the whole medical marketing space. Thank you, Mr. Sanjay, for being a part of our 10th edition of Capsule and being. We hope that we'll get great insights in this discussion from you.
Thank you. Sure.
And also with us, we have the younger generation, Miss Lavanya Sibal. She's from Wockhardt, and she's the assistant manager for digital marketing. Thank you, Lavanya, for being a part of this. And I'm sure that this topic is such that what we'll be discussing today, you'll be putting a lot of valuable information and expertise that you're bringing on board in digital marketing. And there's much to hear from the new generation onto this. So thank you so much for being a part of this, for this talk.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's a real pleasure to be here and an opportunity with such expertise. Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone. Thank you, panelists. And as we go ahead, just let me introduce the topic that we are talking about, and that is the social media marketing, and especially its impact in pharmaceutical and medical marketing, which we are talking about. And what we are covering today is how you look at, and is it an ideal channel to share knowledge with healthcare professionals, first of all, because medical marketing has always been very, let's say, knowledge centric. And also, what we'll be covering is how to build robust customer relationships through social media. And if you look at online and offline, the hybrid model, we were just talking backstage with Mr. Saptarshi, and I'll go right into it with him itself on finding the right balance to engage with doctors. So, considering the topic of social media and how, in respect, it has added a lot of value to you could say, the life of an ordinary citizen, of getting information and giving feedback right at the tips of their fingers. This has put a third voice which we didn't have. It was always either communication coming from the governing bodies or from the leadership and coming to the end user. But this has not even put a one-way, two-way direction. It has put a third kind of a direction in social media. So the questions that we are asking, I'll start with you, Mr. Saptarshi. You look at our medico marketing. We target healthcare professionals. Healthcare professionals are also individuals, and they themselves are on social media. So when are we invading their space? How are we going to talk about educating them in a social media environment? So is social media an ideal platform for medical representations or pharmaceutical knowledge marketing? And could we develop relationships with them, with the HCPs specifically?
It's a very, very pertaining and a very good question, Nance. See, one thing is for sure that in days to come, social media and media marketing is going to be there. It is the way of life. We have to accept it. In Western countries, it started long back uh, because I've seen in different countries while I was working there that this is the way of life in many countries, but it is taking time in India to sink in because we Indians had always been believing that one to one, person to person interaction uh, is what develops the rapport and the relationship. Interpersonal relationship had always been given a priority by the pharmaceuticals also. I'm sure you would agree. Prior to the pandemics, we used to the pharma company when I was a medical rep, 10 call करनी है. So that is the thing. But suddenly there is a change. The doctors, the medical reps, the pharma, the industry is facing, since there was a restriction of entering and meeting the doctors, we came out with this media of speaking to the doctor or getting in touch with this. See, there is a challenge and it is taking time. Uh, there has the both the parties, the pharma companies, the doctors, HCPs, all need to be trained, and there has to be a system. I believe because today randomly every company is doing different activities. Earlier, which was not there, when the doctor meets a pharma company, he used to meet between 6 to 7 o'clock, and there were 10 pharma companies, and 10 would be meeting. But now social media has become such that it is the doctors are getting fatigued. This is, and I'm talking. When I got this invitation, I spoke with some of the KOLs across India, and this is what I'm hearing from them, that there is internet fatigue, there is a WhatsApp fatigue. So that is the way. But one thing is for sure that this is going to be the way of life, and we have to prepare ourselves and we have to train ourselves accordingly.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think this insights. Yes, Mr. Saptarshi, you are very right in saying there's a lot of challenges, and for an individual, especially healthcare professionals who have been targeted via social media especially, and I would say during the COVID period also, there were things done very much right, and there were things done also in excess, and I think there is that fatigue which you are talking about. Mr. Sanjay, when you look at this very same question on targeting healthcare professionals through the social media platforms, what is your take on this?
See, so what I believe is that social media is like a Nananari park today. Okay, where people are coming. Okay, so in typical Nananari park, you'll have some children, you'll have adults, and you'll have some old people. Okay, you'll of course have some doctors also. Okay, so now if you want to intrude into that person's time, of course you can't come with a slapstick like buy my product or this is my product or this is my company. So one has to be very clear ki what are we going to do on social media, how are we going to impact that customer, which you said that we can develop relationship with the customer or impact him. How are we going to do it, and how are we going to do it in a fashion that he likes us? Okay, so you can simply correlate with the Nanani Park that today if somebody comes to Nana Park with a stand that buy this egg or bread or whatever, like come, nobody's going to listen to it. But if you come and discuss, hey, how are you? You look healthy now. I'll give you some tips of how to exercise, and then you put your product in. That makes a much more impact. Coming to usage of social media in terms of pharmaceutical, see, anyway the doctor is getting exposed to you have to look at how social media will come into the overall picture. Okay, so on digital, social is one channel. Okay, now apart from that, the medical rep is meeting the doctor. Then you have certain things which are happening with the doctor, like you are invited for CME. Digital for you opens, or social media for you opens one more avenue to show your products or your company to the doctor. So I would say, why not utilize it? I mean, like, out of the 10 things which you do, the medical rep, the CME, the samples which you send, the emailers you're putting, okay, social is one more place to impact the doctor. That's what I look at it. Of course, but
Yeah,
how do you
thank
use
you.
it is
Yeah,
important here.
please go ahead. Yeah, thanks. I think it's actually the perspective that you're putting into it. And I think the analogy of Nana Nani Park really fits in well. So they are coming and invading it's how they either you insert your product into the conversation and how do you do it well. That is important. And like you said, I mean, social media is there. It's an additional channel to your existing channel. So in the omni-channel setup, this is one of the various channels that we are talking about. Lavanya, with your experience, reaching out to an HCP on social media, what is your take, considering that we have already understood that we have to filter a lot of our conversation and fit it right into the conversation?
Right. So I think, as Mr. Saptarshi and Mr. Sanjay already mentioned, that digital or adding to it social media particularly is an enabler, but it is a parallel enabler to the existing practices that we have. This is something that I've learned, that there are some established practices in pharma that may take a lot of time to change, and they might not, because they have worked extensively well in the past. But that being said, I think digital is such an enabler that it can bring new innovative ways to target your audience correctly, which is something that doesn't come sitting at the center. I might not be as extensively creating a strategy that goes on in the field to even the third tier city, but I can do that when I create my digital marketing or social media marketing campaign. That is something that I believe. And with that being said, I think social media, I wouldn't say that, like say an a representative should directly contact an HCP via social media, but I would say it is more around reiterating the central strategy that was made by the HO for a particular thing. For example, you can always create a touch point with them on social media, saying that this is what uh, our company is doing, or these are the new studies that we're doing. But again, using social media the right way and not bugging them would be the right way to go.
Yeah, I think this has definitely taken us into what previous topics we were talking about used to be on traditional marketing. Then the whole question is, what is actually traditional marketing? Because that if the tradition is keeping on evolving, then we are looking at various ways and methods to reach out to the end customer. And I think, Lavanya, you put it, hit the nail right on the head when we talk about targeting your audience correctly and expanding your base. So if you look at social media, like Mr. Sanjay and Saptarshi said, it's another tool, and we have to reach out and expand the base. So it's not just a representative to HCP communication. I think in this fashion, when we are talking about, is now relating to what effective communication you can have, what kind of customer engagement can you really do. And when you look at medical representatives pertaining, what kind of how can they use social media to build a very robust connection online and offline? And what are the strategies, Mr. Saptarshi, that you all have used, or you have some cases or use cases, especially because I believe in your ecosystem, you all are building so many innovative technology products. And the HCPs that you are reaching are the most busiest bodies, especially intensivists who have very little social life, also, you could say. So, how is it that y'all are utilizing this medium to reach out to such an audience? And what is the
See,
content? Yeah.
yeah, Lavanya made a very important point. See, today the problem with the pharma company was reach. Now with the social media coming in, at least we can triple or we can reach around 5 times the number of doctors which we were meeting earlier. So when I was talking of hybrid, see what happens is, first of all, it is extremely important that the legal allows that we must take consent, whether we should send them emails, whether we should send them WhatsApp. It's extremely important. Many companies have, they are not aware of this. There is a topic later on, but taking the consent of the doctors is extremely, extremely important. As it happens with us also, the banks and railways and airlines, everyone, they check with us whether they can send us mails. One important point. Secondly, we can reach out to the tier 2 and tier 3 cities. What strategy we have taken is the analytics of this mailers that we go send, the literatures or the messages that we send to the doctors who have approved it. See, what we try to do is we try to take the analytics of the from the IT person, that what had been the click rate, what is the click rate, and what is the time spent on that email. See, it's extremely important that when many a times we also receive a lot of mails, we just see, don't find it interesting, we go to the next. We have opened the page, but we have not read the content. We try to, that is not a, he might have opened it, but didn't give a lot of importance to that particular mail or to that particular message. Then we try to find out what is the time spent on that mail. That is also what is provided to us. Now, if we see that the time spent on a particular, say meropenem in ICU is the time most of the doctors are, then we convey it to that particular rep, that see, this was the message that was sent to the from the IT, and that this particular doctor, this set of say 10 doctors have spent more time on this particular topic, and this is the time when you must hit hard with these doctors. So you go with concrete data and tell them that this was a mailer that had come to you. I'm sure that Sanjay would agree to it because they might be also doing the same thing. So we give this message to the, yeah, this is our strategy. We can send this message to the and convey the message to the medical rep, and he goes along with his manager, maybe most of the time with a prior appointment, and convey the message at a shortest period of time. The doctors also appreciate that.
Yes, definitely. I mean,
I would like to add further to
yes,
it,
sure.
Hans, because there are a lot of things to it, and I know that this would come further. So
Correct.
I would take it the later
Sure,
part. I would
sure.
take it in that.
So you have helped us, with Saptarshi, right into a deep dive actually. So the first thing you mentioned is taking consent, then also the data analytics part of it, and also how that data can really empower the communication between the medical rep and especially healthcare professionals like intensivists or critical care specialists, who are very difficult to reach and
Or
almost like, let's say,
oncologists.
yeah, yeah, and oncologists. So these are very good tactics that you all are utilizing. Mr. Sanjay, based on this, and how are you as an organization, as company, as your campaigns are built utilizing, like you would say, one of the various channels, or utilizing it as social media as one of the main upfront channels towards your targeted audiences?
Yeah, so I'll put a comment from my 13 years experience of various pharma companies who have used social media, okay, and where what are the challenges they have and how they're using it, especially from the medical rep point of view, because I think that was your point, okay. So
Correct.
one is that when a company shares something on its social media channel, the medical rep should actually share it, okay. That's quite important for them, so that at least people who are in their vicinity, they should see what their company is doing. So sharing is first of all important. Secondly, how can a medical rep actually use social media is very smartly is actually to tap his doctors on his own social media, okay? Because most of the doctors are on social media. What are they doing? What is happening in their life? All these things are getting posted by the doctor. So if a medical rep actually follows his doctor and learns what he's doing, that can be another discussion point. Because see, today you'll agree that in most of the clinic visits which are happening, there are less medical points which are discussed because there's nothing. We already exhausted all the medical points which can be discussed, and only things which are getting discussed is okay, what's happening in your life, what's happening in your company, or what are you doing. Okay, here if a medical rep before he enters a doctor's chamber knows ki, okay, this doctor visited like some days back some events all that, that's another additional point which can happen to you. Also, like what you're doing on social media through your corporate handle can be discussed with the doctor. Look, doctor, we are doing such a great disease awareness or a social media campaign for this disease, and which is going to benefit you in your clinic because more patients will come in. That's one part of on social media. If you look at the entire gamut, again, it boils down to the same thing that why are you using digital, why you want to use it, and what are you trying to achieve out of that. So yes, I would agree that Saptarshi sir, what he said, if sending emails to a person who the field finds difficulty in meeting, yeah, email is one channel. You can add up social, you can add up another CME, online virtual doctor network platforms also there. We can approach the intensive. So again, it's boiling down to what Ms. Lavanya also said, that it's an overall picture where you say and how you can support the medical rep in terms of aiding getting sales from the doctors.
Sure. I mean, what this comes back to your introduction also, it's where you say it's a very human centric approach. So actually using technology, and in a way, it's all about empathy and understanding your target audience. So I think what you have put it right is using those points for discussion, using that data that you can collect. Yes, yes,
In
too.
fact, just 4 years back, we did I cannot name the company because it's a confidentiality agreement, but we did projects for US and UK where we actually utilize AIML to socially profile the doctors and find out the key discussion points, whether this doctor likes to discuss on vacation spots, or he likes to discuss on clinical studies, or what he likes to discuss on. And this was shared with the medical reps in those areas to actually discuss with the doctors.
Yeah, it'll be very surprising. Sometimes I have good friends who are on social media, actually doctors. You would never know that they are doctors. So it depends on what they're posting on. They're posting beautiful pictures. They're traveling all the time. So you think they're just travelers clicking nice, beautiful photographs. Actually, you would see they're the most busiest bodies on the earth. And that's the only time they get to showcase their actual short human life which they have in terms of travel pictures. So rightly put, Mr. Sanjay, on this point, with a very human centric approach in understanding and collecting that data and utilizing that for further discussions with them. Lavanya, on the same point, if you're taking up, and especially Wockhardt also faces almost some of the very same challenges, meeting very kind of healthcare professionals in in in, uh, in very busy kind of atmospheres. So, what is the approach so far that Wockhardt has been utilizing to strengthen that communication bit?
So I would just say, firstly, apologies to the audience, my dear expert panelists and DocMode for my internet connection. But that being said, I hope you are able to hear me.
Yes.
So coming back to your question, Hans, I think there have been many, like Wockhardt has started digitally transforming in various ways. Most of the projects I cannot of course disclose here because they're confidential in nature, but we are using many other digital platforms now where we can increase, the touch points that we have toward an HCP or any other partner for that matter. So I think newest channels of communication around like for example also WhatsApp is one which has turned out to be a different different enabler altogether, almost a game changer in most industries. But since we are a pharma firm, all of us need to be very careful and diligent in our due compliance when we share any kind of communication on any digital platforms. But that being said, so with that and with social media, I think we're looking forward to a lot of things in pipeline, but wouldn't be able to comment much on that.
So I'll just expand that question
Sure.
with you on when you look at disease awareness, when you look at marketing and intelligence, customer engagement. So you are utilizing this on various brand marketing and also getting updates. So I'm going on to the next question with you itself, Lavanya, so that we can expand this conversation. Is how best you see social media as one of the tools to do most of these things, because disease awareness is one, to increase the awareness towards the patient level so that they also understand, and utilizing maybe HCPs as one part of that. And as you rightly mentioned, understand getting that intelligence back, so from these kind of communications. So in your strategies, how have you looked at in your general pointers to create a campaign?
Sure. So I think that's a great question. And that being said, I think disease awareness is a two-pronged, it's a great opportunity for any pharma firm, because disease awareness not only touches the proposition that you make clear for your end consumer, but it's an add-on point for the HCP that you want to connect as well, because they don't have as much time on their hands to explain every problem, every nook and corner of a disease and what kind of symptoms, why are you facing them. Of course they have to, but with the paucity of time, I would say that that's where pharma firms can play a great role in such social media campaigns, which actually provide information to that end consumer, plus relieve a little bit of pressure on our HCPs. I think it's a great add-on. Plus also, that being said, you must have realized, and we all must have realized, that during COVID times we have multiple apps and multiple websites coming from, I think, every pharma firm, almost saturating the market to a level that no one wants to see them. So social media actually creates a common platform for all of them to really get to the end consumer and close the loop, because where our loop closes is not to just get the information to the consumer, but also understand how many, being a pharma marketeer, how many of them actually did read it. Is it useful? Is it, take the feedback, exactly what's going to happen after. So I think with that, these are all the things that we have taken care of in our strategies at Wockhardt.
Yeah, thanks so much. That really gives us an insight of how you're planning and how you're looking at it. And like you rightly said, patient education is a great opportunity for medico marketing to utilize to reach out to the end users. And definitely it's a good add-on. Mr. Saptarshi, if you look at on this, taking this discussion a little bit ahead, and when you see the seriousness of what we have in the communication with the healthcare professionals, most of the time, the first thing that you said is the consent. Second is which we have to take depending on what platform, so that when we're invading their space, one is that, and the other is how we're converting them onto the same communication line. How do you see it, the impact or the value that you can add to these customers of yours? One was patient education. I mean, an amazing point that Ms. Lavanya said. So how do you see this?
See, extremely important that nowadays there are a lot of groups women's group, Lioness or Lions Club,
Club.
and there are various clubs, and yeah, and they all have a group. Even a society of say 350 buildings have 2 to 3 groups, so the ladies groups and all. What one of my I don't want to name that company, but he's a good friend of mine. What they have done very successfully, they have a cervical cancer uh, vaccine. So what they have done is they have gone, the reps have, along with the IT people, have gone to various clubs and various social women's group, even to societies, bigger societies, of course, in Soto, and then they have extended it to other places also. They have created groups, and many times the doctor do not have that much of reach, but it was in consultant with the doctor only. So these groups to create awareness for a disease like cervical cancer or breast cancer or even HIV and these type of disease management has helped a lot. What has happened is, what we have seen is, these are the people, these are the members when they were taught, and that was also in digitally. It was not that calling them face to face. It was digitally done, and they have cascaded this to their family members, to their daughter who is 18 years old. What do you think? Go and search engine and find out what is the vaccine. And there has been a boom in the sales of vaccines. Just going to the patient and the doctor, and they ask the doctors also to address and the doctors know which is the medicine, which is the vaccine that needs to be given. Awareness of cancer. So these are the things I think Lavanya made it very well that this is the way it should be. But while I say this, there is always, for any change or for anything new, there would always be a resistance. One has to be very patient, and it cannot happen in one go. First, there would be 60 people joining, then there would be reduction. Ultimately, there would be 20, and then 20 would bring another 20. So, the company and the company people have to be very patient. And I tell you, after 4 or 5 visits, they would find that there is a value in it. Some would drop out, some would stay, and that would be the way it is. And I think this is the way going forward, involving a doctor, because since we are not HCPs, we cannot be always talking science. It is a doctor who should can be operated.
So
That is
it's
my yeah, answer to the disease management.
correct. And so it's utilizing the HCP as a central kind of carrier, and in
Yeah.
putting them to talk in these kind of social environments, where whether it's offline or online, and utilizing social media to the best to reach out to these patient groups. And like you said, there's always resistance to adapt technologies in our whole life cycle. Also, we've seen it, and sometimes the first movers also are pharmaceutical for new technologies, but then they burn their fingers so much without really understanding, and then afterwards they keep a one-arm distance. We've seen that in many cases. Mr. Sanjay, on this topic, on the conversation that we are having on as a serious topic, a serious conversation, medically, scientifically, how do we dilute that towards the patient, or do we how bring that about? And how can we convert those customers or HCP customers onto the same wavelength through social media and other aspects utilizing these tools?
Yeah. So what I believe is that yes, you rightly said pharma is a serious topic, okay. But also you have to understand that when you are on social media, okay, the person is not serious, okay. Get that in your mind, okay. So when he's on social media, he's actually coming to get information about what is happening in his friends, families, and what is happening in the world, okay. So he's in that mode, okay. So in that mode of channel, okay, when he's observing the fun things and fact things, okay, you are putting your message up, okay, and suddenly say he's watching his kid, somebody's got married, okay, he's watching a program, and suddenly your message pops up, you may die of cancer. I mean, guy, what the hell, yeah. So understand on social media, this is the king, okay. does a thumb, okay? Because the person who is on social media, he's going like that, okay? And in the 2 or 3 seconds which you get, you have to stop him. So first you have to get your hook point right, okay? And as Saptarshi sir was saying, the hook point can be a doctor, okay? Sometimes it can be a celebrity, sometimes it can be a campaign which you're utilizing. So you have to be very clear, what are you going to utilize for your social media for? As I started off, what is the objective? What is your hook point? I don't think the seriousness or non-seriousness matters on this, because we have had various examples in the industry where in a fun way also you can communicate a message, but again empathize with the patient. Okay, don't make fun of the patient. You can make put it in a lighter way, but don't make fun of the situation of the patient on social media, because you might feel that it's a quirky message or whatever, but the patient might feel bad. Okay, so there are various things which have to be looked on. I would say that's something which is important. And previously connecting to what you asked for disease awareness, okay, I would say that the industry has to evolve. Okay, it's like most of the times I see that on a World Heart Day or on a World Diabetes Day, suddenly you see many companies putting posts on social media that so does it mean that on World Heart Day people get heart attack? Does it mean that on World Diabetes Day people get diabetes? No, it's happening throughout. So we have to be very clear, what are we using social media for? Is it to the doctor or to the customer? What are we trying to create an impact for the company? Okay, then you have to throw the whole year. Like suddenly you can't say actually people have bugged down to this thing. कि अभी वर्ल्ड डायबिटीज डे आ रहा है, हार्ट डे आ रहा है, 50 कंपनी के आने वाले हैं मैसेजेस दैट वी विश यू अ हार्ट डे, वी केयर फॉर योर हार्ट. अरे तो अदर टाइम यू आर नॉट केयरिंग फॉर योर. Yeah. So have a consistency, just don't do it. It's like a Diwali week shopping bonanza or Amazon Prime Day, which is started today or tomorrow. Then we'll be present for 2 or 3 days on social media in a year, and then we'll be off, gayab. Okay, you have to be consistently sending your message to actually make an impact, be it your HCP or be it your patients or the caregiver.
Correct. And as you said, consistency, and the message has to be hammered in in a very continuous way. It can't be just one and then you'll break even the wall. So you've given very realistic examples, and this has been the trend as people who observe how pharmaceutical marketing has been. Certain days are where high messages are put out. Even if you look at Doctor's Day and all of these other just wishes, that's only when you signal. That's of course to celebrate. But when it comes to diseases, you want to keep that consistency with your messaging. And Lavanya, I think what we've got from all of this conversations is to understand how we are reaching out and what is the message that we are reaching out through these social media platforms to the customers, and when to utilize it also. So it's all of these how, when, what's kind of messages. Now, what are the key challenges that you all have faced utilizing? We said WhatsApp. We've mentioned the saturation points also. But what are the other challenges that you all see from consenting to other things while utilizing social media?
So I would say, firstly, greatly answered, Mr. Sanjay. I agree with most of the points that you said and very realistic to the note. Coming back to what you mentioned, Hans, so I think there are 3 problems that come in my mind when I think about this question. First is, and the challenges, of course, that I've faced is first, scarcity of time with the HCP, too much information, and repetitive efforts. So a very great friend of mine sent me a study from I think it's EPG Health, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, EPG Health. So what the study mentioned there was, what we're trying to do mostly, many of us in the pharma firm are just replicating our efforts from physical to digital, which creates so much monotony. Why we all experience, we go to talking to HCPs, and why do we think there is a monotony or an exhaustion digitally, is because there is a repetitive pattern. Those are the same CMEs, those are the same webinars, those are the same, panel discussions whatsoever, not offensing this one at all. This is a particularly different one. But what I'm trying to say is that we are just repeating our efforts there and not trying to create something innovative as such. And that's why it creates so much monotony in the doctor's mind, that even if you go and you ask him, request him and invite him to come to such a panel discussion or say on a Facebook live event, right? So he's there, but how much of his mind is exactly there for which you're putting the efforts, you don't know that. And the view time can be such that I have experienced this. Many people, many HCPs saying that I just switch it on and then I put it somewhere at my desk and I see my patients. So that is a very common habit. That being said, we need to be more innovative for a solution for that. Coming back to too much information, again, I think all of the points boil down to not using many apps, websites, but using common portals where you can build a community for yourself, maybe for HCPs, for hospitals, or for nurses, or for patients. Just building those communities, that is very, very important. And with scarcity of time is just on the HCP mind, like you have to understand that person comes from a place where he has X and Y things to do in his day, including his practice. He's not only there to meet your company, that is not his primary objective, but how you fit in all your primary objectives into his day is your work as a pharma marketeer. It's also I think very well put by both the great panelists, is that you need to know the objective of what you're doing. And until you know that objective, it's only 1/4 of the thing done. But even after that, even if you have a successful event and you didn't close the loop by analyzing the consumer behavior, where it would be an HCP in this case, it would not be relevant further. You're just doing it for the sake of it. We'll do this event, then we'll do that event, then we'll promote this campaign on social media, and then that one. But what is it that people are actually driving from it? For example, in the same study, I remember it's saying that around 70% of the doctors or HCPs that they interviewed would like more of podcasts on social media platforms. Now, and only 38% of the pharma professionals that they captured were willing to actually, do those podcasts or were on priority for them. Now, that is a huge gap that we have. You have created a social media platform, you're doing disease awareness, but what kind of content is your consumer wanting? To listen to that is one of the challenges that we all face, and to actually come to a real strategy to cover all these gaps is very important. And something, it's the most scarcity of time has been the most challenging aspect within whatever time I have had in pharma, and I have seen those all the esteemed HCPs interacting on social media or any other digital platform. Yeah, a little long answer, sorry for that.
No, I think it's very well put. I think what you have done is you have put down a very points kind of system, and the challenges. What you have said is definitely these 3 points: scarcity of time, the information, how you're putting it out, and also the efforts of, are you doing the right efforts, or is it just a colossal waste of time? So, in a nutshell, what we've been doing is always translating. But it's time that we have to use these. The industry has to be innovative and actually has to transform. Building a community was a good suggestion. With Saptarshi, based on this itself, what do you feel internally? What companies need to do to reach out much better? What are the changes they need to do for transforming themselves to use mediums rightly, especially in the social media?
Yeah. See, Hans, one thing we have to agree. Today, the major population of doctors the age is with 55. Who matters the most? Who are the actual contributor? Are 55 and above are the major contributor. They are the people who are established themselves as a physician, gynecologist, oncologist, and uh, we. I'm sure not most of them would be very tech savvy, and I've seen that they are not tech savvy. They what they do is based though they would ask the junior to look at it. Until and unless you are able to touch base those people. Earlier, we used to when we were meeting the doctors face to face. We were taught about the personality trait of the doctors. He is a thinking style doctor. He is a directing style doctor. So we used to know that what we need to speak, what type of question we need to ask. I'm talking about the challenges, to be very frank. When it comes to social media, you cannot differentiate. We do not have what adoption stage the doctor is. When I'm talking about a doctor who is 55 plus or is 60 and top notch head of department of a hospital, and we do not know at what adoption stage he is towards social media. So this it's extremely important, and they are important people, and we need to convince them. So the thing is, once upon a time, I would give an example. Once upon a time, 10, 12 years, to 15, 20 years ago, we used to stand in the line and fill up the form for getting a reservation. You remember? How many people go to the railway station to get a reservation done? Not even 7 if you go in the morning. Everyone does it through IRTC. It has become a part of our life. We have to educate first of all, before going to the mass media and taking this technology, we have to educate the seniors also. As there is a big responsibility, and it cannot be done by the juniors or a medical rep or an area. The responsibility should be on the marketing or the team which does this digital initiatives. I think we have to educate them through webinars and by face to face.
Correct. I think you have put it in terms of internal education is very important, educating the HCPs itself, and that could be a very clear goal or objective that could be met, while at the same time inserting your communication and your message through this platform. We have very
One more thing.
interesting. Yeah.
And one more thing. See, we have to be the communication has to be interesting. It has to be repetitive, but it has to be interesting also. Supposing if you want to launch a new product, and you every 15 days or every 7 days, the doctor should find it interesting. See, I would give you an example. Amul. I always look at the corner of the newspaper in Times of India to see what they have posted today. Though it is there. I mean, you remember that girl,
Yes.
Amul girl, connected with that. I always look forward to it. That is what we need to create. If we have hit that, we have made it a difference. Another example, high juice. It has become a very sorry if cut me short if I am taking too much of time. High juice. Initially, when they came, the advertisements were fantastic. Sardarji hai, uska papa, chameleon, unki daughter, and it made a big impact. High juice is a big brand now, but they have not innovated. Their advertisement still. So now it has become boring.
Correct.
People do not find interest in that. So
I
you
like to
have
add.
to be innovative.
Sure.
I like to add to
Yes,
the
Sanjay.
challenges that there are three major challenges. One is that the decision makers are not digitally savvy, and digitally savvy people are not decision makers in the farm industry. Okay, number one.
Absolutely.
Secondly, the challenge is that which comes as the second is that we live under a myth that the doctor is super busy. Okay, because the doctor is super busy in the clinic, and that's where the whole problem starts. So what typically happens is connecting the first challenge to the second one, that we are a myth that doctors are busy. What typically happens is the people in the marketing team, okay, design messages or communication on social media in such a way that they are trying to replicate the in clinic thing. Okay, so like what is happening in an LBL or a visual aid or a poster in a clinic is actually getting replicated on social media, thinking that the doctor is busy or the patient is busy. That's where the whole challenge comes in, and connecting to the Nana Nani Park again. That slapstick visual aid LBL is repeated on social media, and people are not interested. So people are just happy with reach and impressions, but actually the engagement does not happen.
I think that's a very, again, realistic point that you have brought out. And it really gives an image, especially kind of an introspective moment for pharmaceutical marketing over the years. That especially visual aids and the time spent in the doctor is almost that the time spent is almost like an advertisement that you're getting those 5 seconds. You have to put in your best pitch possible, the best impact statements.
You know,
Gets
Harsh,
translated.
but just adding to your thing, see, when you are in the clinic, okay, the doctor has given you permission for 30 seconds or 1 minute to talk. On social media, you're begging for permission. You're going to stop that thumb. So the communication has to be different. It can't be the same repetitive, mundane
Correct.
talk which a medical utters. This thing, the doctor, this is my brand, this is the main point of this thing, or whatever. Like this, same thing. It can't be the same thing, or the same
Correct.
mundane CME where you have
Correct.
actually the medical rep has gone and really convince the doctor to come, and then typically there's a scientific thing happening on the whole thing on social media, or your online thing. It becomes completely different, and that's where I think pharma industry faced a big haul from the doctors. Faced a big pharma industry faced a big haul from the doctors who actually outrightly rejected the amount of WhatsApp messages, emails, and everything which was coming, because they were just trying to replicate what is happening in the clinic on email or WhatsApp or that message. कि वही एलबीएल चलो डॉक्टर को ना व्हाट्सएप पे भेज देते, देख लेगा. अरे यार, when I'm on WhatsApp, if you would have sent me a non-veg joke or a veg joke, and with your message, I would have been much more happy here.
So exactly your point. We are just translating rather than transforming, and from one medium to the next. And each medium is different, and we can utilize, and each has its strengths and each has its pros and cons. And we have to use that medium rightly with the communication that we are adopting. I think we'll just open ourselves for a few questions, and I think I'll throw this question to Lavanya. Is measuring all of this is a question put from Aarti from Pune. So how do you measure your success? Of course, you have challenges, you have everything, but you put out a campaign now. What is the measuring points? Of course, the data, views, and clicks. Are we just talking about that, or are we looking at measuring beyond this in a social media atmosphere?
Right. So I think clicks and views and like the duration that a video was watched, and very very important measures for sure. But I think when we think about this question, I think you should first start with what objective did you start the social media campaign with. That social media campaign, when launched, before that you should have some KPIs in your hand which are exactly aligned to your objective. Otherwise they don't make any sense, right? But that being said, when you come to the KPIs, you're done with the social media campaign, you had humongous uh, results. For example, you had amazing click rate and an amazing open rate and everything. That's not it. That's not when you call your campaign successful. Of course it was. You should pat yourself on the back that you did it. What were your expectations or business's expectations? You came right, or you banged right on those numbers. But after that, what brings you to the point is, how do you maintain this consistency and continuity to say that yes, I was successful? Because just one campaign, I think, for social media cannot decide how successful you were. It's the whole strategy that you build for your social media campaign. I know I'm going to be different, or I'm going to put a different content when my audience is patients, and the KPIs for that are going to be totally different from what I'm going to get out of a campaign that was built for an HCP, right? So on the whole, it's the strategy that should be successful. And how do you create continuity in each social media campaign? And I say this because we don't come from a very, we don't come from an FMCG industry. We come from a pharma industry. Here, the relationship takes real long time to build. And talking about digital, they take much more time to build. I can't expect that, okay, 20,000 doctors watched my event and oh, bang, it was successful. That doesn't happen. Like, you need to put in a lot more effort to make it consistent for them to know, okay, this was the company that did it and this was the difference that they made in my day, in my objective, etc. So yeah, that would be my answer to the question.
Well put. Mr. Saptarshi, I think you want to add something to this. I'll just put another question, bundle it with the question that's asked directly to you. So it's about a 46-year-old medical representative. He's not very comfortable using social media. What should he do to stay relevant in the industry? So for me, it is always this burden or this, like the image of the Atlas is put on the MedRep, that you have to bring in clicks, you have to bring in views for this online digital campaign that I've done. That's how I'll measure you from now on. And of course, with that tension, also adding what the question I put for Lavanya is on the measuring aspect of things. Are we just looking at it from just black and white, or are we to look in very deep, as in from the strategy point of view itself?
Yeah, thanks. Hans. I would first address Lavanya. I mean, she said it very well. I would just add few things to it. Lavanya, you said, see, if we have a digital campaign and we, for example, we have sent it to 5,000 doctors, and it's easy to send at a click of a button, it can go to 5,000 doctors if we have got the right email ID. Check the open rate. What I would suggest to my team, check the open rate. Don't go to the click rates. Just check the open rate, how much time they have spent. Maybe it would, out of 5,000, there would be around 400 doctors who have actually spent time, maybe a minute or more. Then why don't we post a second question to them? Sir, we found that you are interested, and so to this topic of ours, we send another set of questions and another set of things, articles to this 400 doctors only. And we might get response from 200 doctors. If we have hit out in 7 days, if we have hit and created interest for some 400 doctors just through multimedia, through this medium, I think it is quite a good success getting this. What do you think, Lavanya?
I would definitely agree with you, sir. Why I say that is because there was a motive to this campaign that was creating, it could be either creating engagement or just knowing that out of this database, these are the doctors that I can firstly engage digitally, take their feedback, and maybe also opt for an online or offline engagement afterwards.
Absolutely. We can engage our people to meet this 400 doctors.
Just to add to Lavanya,
so this is
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just to add to Lavanya, so 5 years back, I had one client who actually asked me, you're asking us to do a social media campaign, but what is the return of investment I'll get from this? Okay. So I just asked him, last month you printed one LBL from my same agency and you made like 60,000-70,000 rupees on that LBL. Can you tell me how much prescriptions you got out of that LBL? You don't have any answer for that. So digital, at least I can tell you that. Yeah, at least in digital, I can tell you that whatever I'm making, it was seen by so many people engaged. आप तो क्लिनिक में जो पोस्टर लगाओगे वो अगले दिन कोई कंपटीशन का एमआर लेके भाग रहा है वो भी आपको पता नहीं है.
Yeah.
Most economical. Sorry, Hans. Sorry.
Yes, correct. So I'll throw this question back to Mr. Sanjay with adding the expectancy, because there's some questions on this itself, on expectancy. So normally when you have an objective, of course, but then are the expectancies very high, unrealistic sometimes when you go digital, that you think now the world is my playground and I should be able to reach, if there are 10 lakh doctors, I should reach all of them? Or are you still saying, okay, let's bring down our expectancy and let's do very strategic, like like Mr. Saptarshi said, right? You're not expecting the world, you're expecting what is very realistic. So, on this note.
See, on expectancies, one has to be very clear. Again, what I started with it, why are you coming on to digital? Okay. And understand that digital is a part of the entire strategy. Okay. So you have your medical rep visiting, you have your medical department sending CMEs. Okay. Then you have your digital team, which is actually sending your social media posts and everything. Suddenly you can't say, and again I say to the counter also that you can't suddenly let's say typically like in when a target is achieved, okay, in many companies I've seen actually the marketing and sales people fighting amongst each other. That target was achieved because of the sales team or the marketing team. Similarly, I have seen that sometimes when a campaign is successful, the digital team starts jumping that we made this campaign successful, the sales was successful. Okay, I've seen this trend lately in the past 3 or 4 years. So understand that digital is a part of the whole system. It's playing a part, and you have to be very clear. Okay, what you try to do, you try to reach 10 lakh doctors or 5 lakh doctors and have those doctors see you. That was the whole thing. Okay, and you have to give the credit to the whole system rather than marketing or sales or digital only.
Yeah, I think very well put.
Hans, I could not address one question.
Sure.
Nested that I am a 46-year-old medical.
Yes,
rep.
yes.
Yeah. See, this is the best time for a medical rep, because I have spent 13 years as a medical rep in Chiligudi, working in Darjeeling and Karshang and all these places. See, you had been in this industry for a long time, and I'm very, very sure that if you had been working in one particular territory, 100% of the HCPs would be knowing you by your name, and you do not need, to be very frank, this media and all to communicate your message. But however, the most advantageous part with you is, compared to the people who have just joined before the pandemic, the doctor don't even know him. And I have seen this, that when he's sending a WhatsApp once, twice, second time, the doctor blocks his number. He doesn't know who is Saptarshi, because Saptarshi has joined just before the pandemic and he has not been able to have any face-to-face interaction. Whereas you have got this advantage, you can send it, and I'm sure if you send your email or something, communicate or ask the doctor for a Zoom call interaction with you, he would hardly deny, which may happen with most of the people, with not with you. Now is, as in the beginning when we said, this is the way of life. I gave an example of IRTs over that ticket also. This is going to be the multimedia and communication through this emails and WhatsApp is going to be there. We have to accept it and we have to go by it, because this is the way of life. I'm sure everyone would agree.
Correct. I think we have almost reached the end of this beautiful, wonderful, engaging discussion that we've been having. And before we end, I would like to take end notes or takeaway messages.
There's one more question, just briefly. I'm sorry to interrupt you. There's one more question to me and Sanjay, that non-medical event digitally for HCPs. See, no, straight away, no, because there are a lot of things, compliance issues are there. Anything which is non-medical should be absolutely avoided and should be by the pharmaceutical company. Unethical pharmaceutical company should absolutely distance itself from any non-medical event for a medical person. There would be compliance issue. I'm sure Sanjay and Lavanya would agree with me.
Yes, sure.
So I think let's have a takeaway message for our audiences who have been so great in being a part and watching this. So I'll start with you, Mr. Sanjay. What is your takeaway message or endpoints you'd like to give to the audience today on the discussions that we've had?
See, overall, I would like to tell the medical reps who are there that start using social media, but don't go and start making social media handles for your companies. Okay, because I've seen many companies. I don't want to name that. They have Phalana Dhimkana company in North, Phalana Dhimka company Dombivali. Okay, they have made so many groups that actually in the past we have tried to shut down all these groups. So don't make groups, but share data, and that's an important point because I've seen many companies where the company is sending social media posts on corporate handle, and even the head office, forget the field people, the head office people are already not seeing that. Okay, so it's important for you all only to share because that's an organic reach you can have. And thirdly, I'd like to say is pharmaceutical companies have to evolve and stop having that in clinic replication on social media. Okay, because that's actually a commercial suicide. Okay, because you're wasting your doctor's time, and stop living in the myth that doctors are super busy and the same. I'm like, I know many doctors. Okay, in the clinic they are busy because they have 50 patients here, but in their personal life they are watching TV, they are watching OTT, they are watching social media, and they have leisure time. And in that time, please attack them in a well planned, well thought of way. Thank you.
Sure. Mr. Saptarshi, what would you like to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, as in the beginning itself, we have mentioned, I said that this is going to be the way of life. Let us, and it is not possible that we suddenly change to social media and do the things. Let us have a hybrid mode. Take it both, like in CNG and petrol both. Suddenly you cannot go to CNG, and so we need to have a hybrid mode, and that is the best way. I tell you, convey the message through social media and then try to connect with them personally and see how things happen. This is the short term. Long term, we would think later on, but short term, it is a hybrid mode that we need.
Great.
Cannot go away, shy away from interpersonal relationship. Things have happened. People who have been successful had been only successful in pharma because of the interpersonal relationship. It's not the company, to be very frank. With my almost 35 years of experience, I'm telling you, it is the peer person. It is not only the company. Of course, company it matters, but it is the interpersonal relation with the doctor. One should not miss out.
Sure.
This is my message.
So on this road of transition, Lavanya, what would you also like to end this?
Sure, Hans. So I think also adding to Mr. Saptarishi's point, whatever, like a great leader at Wockhardt, I was
I think we've lost her
having
audio.
an
Yeah, continue. I, yeah, I think Lavanya, we are the audio is getting cut. I think there's some internet issues. I think we're going to miss her takeaway or end note. But I believe that she has put a lot of value into the discussion and putting all the points out for us. Again, thank you, panelists, for being a part of this wonderful talk and especially taking time out. We have you back, Lavanya. You can hear us? I think we
still
conclude.
audible.
Yeah. We are audible. So I'll just give you the end note again. I was just going to end it.
Yeah, no, I get it. Two times like efforts for you. I'm really sorry for that. But I was just
No, that's
about to
fine.
say, so one fine leader just mentioned to me that be it an MR or any person in a pharma firm, what could be for you and beneficial. Uh,
I think it's, I don't know,
to
Lavanya, if
learn
you can hear. Yeah. I think we'll end it. We are missing on this valuable takeaway. But thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Saptarshi. Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you, Lavanya, for being a part of this discussion, for taking time out of your weekend. And we thank all the viewers again who have been coming out for these capsule programs. This was our 10th session, and it was a very interesting session. We will have a follow up on this, and it's a topic that will be going on into the community building part of it, from the social media into making professional networking, probably another topic that will be expanding this conversation and this insights that we have gained from all you amazing panelists. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hans. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.